If you've been tuning into these devotionals over the last while, you might recall that we have been doing a few recordings on famous and classic Christian books. And I was speaking recently at a meeting, and a Christian lady who's involved in God's work, doing a great work for the Lord, she said, would you do maybe a devotional on some great missionary books or missionary biographies? Very happy to do that. I'd love to include this, David Brainerd's Diary and Journal, but I've spoken on it maybe once or twice already, so I'm not going to include that today really. But if you haven't got it or you haven't read it, read David Brainerd's Diary and Journal, Missionary to the North American Indians. So number one, Hudson Taylor's Spiritual Secret. Got this book many years ago in the city of Adelaide in South Australia, and this book is written by the missionary Hudson Taylor's son and daughter-in-law, Howard and Mrs. Taylor. It's not so much a biography, although it does record something of the labours of Hudson Taylor in China. But as the title indicates, it's the secret of his spiritual strength and power. Hudson Taylor's Spiritual Secret. And there's great emphasis in this book on the Holy Spirit. So that's a really good book. It's not too big. It suits me well. And there's a book for you if you're interested in serving the Lord. Hudson Taylor's Spiritual Secret. Next book is the biography of Praying Hyde. Praying Hyde was a missionary to India, John Hyde, but was known, as the title suggests, primarily for his prayer life. It's quite a remarkable book. It's been in print for many years. Many people have referred to it. It has stirred up the prayer lives of many Christians, and it's quite hard to comprehend just how much time this man of God spent in prayer. The author, Basil Miller, Praying Hyde, and you'll read about this man spending days on his face before God, bringing greater and greater burdens before the Lord with regards to missionaries being called into the work and precious souls being called to the Saviour. So Praying Hyde by Basil Miller. Next up, we have a book about a local missionary brought up in Ballygowan, just outside of Belfast. This book has been redone under a different title, but this is Victor Maxwell's book on the life of Dr. Bill Woods, who served the Lord in the Amazon region of Brazil. It did a tremendous work there. It was a missionary doctor. Wasn't well educated as far as his schooling was concerned, but felt the call of God, was challenged to do something practical, came back and studied how to be a surgeon and fixed people under God, of course, with God's help, that had leprosy, and ministered to their needs, and did so well in his medical profession that he was awarded an honour by the Queen. But most of all, he was a messenger of the gospel. And he used the practical blessings and gifts that God had given him to share the gospel with people in Brazil, especially amongst the lepers. And that's a wonderful book there, Angel of the Amazon, the life story of Dr. Bill Woods. Then another local man. Here was a man who wanted to go to the mission field, but didn't really get there in a physical sense. Ernie Allen. Again, a man from this country, just outside of Belfast. Ernie Allen, his book, again by Victor Maxwell, A Mission to Millions. This is a work that many people in Northern Ireland have a great interest in, the work of the revival movement and the Every Home Crusade. It's a tremendous work, reaching hundreds and thousands and millions of people over the years with the gospel, printing tons and tons and tons of literature, sending it out across the world in well over 100 different languages. And only heaven will reveal how many people have been won to Christ through the vision of Ernie Allen. This is a work that is close to my heart, and it thrills me whenever I think about it, how God provides for the needs. And they work by faith, operate by faith, and God just keeps supplying their needs, and they do a tremendous work. And this book explains where and how it all started. A Mission to Millions, the life of Ernie Allen, and the work of the Every Home Crusade, sending out all of those paper missionaries. Ernie Allen was a great man of God, had the privilege of knowing him just a little bit towards the end of his life, and even in those short months, that year period, he had a great influence in this life of mine. Then one last book, and we're finished. I have to confess, I haven't read all of this. I've read another book about this man, but this is his autobiography, and this is the missionary John G. Paton, who went to the New Hebrides in the South Pacific, to a place called Vanuatu at tremendous cost. He was a Scottish missionary. He was told by people in his church in Glasgow that if he went to the mission field, he would be eaten by cannibals. He didn't really care about that. That didn't put him off. He says, well, if I don't get eaten by cannibals, I'll get eaten by worms. Either way, I'm eaten. And off he went, and God did a tremendous work. After a period of waiting, a period of tears and heartache and brokenness, God moved mightily. And to this day, the islands, some of the islands that he ministered on, have a strong Christian and Presbyterian influence to this very day. So the life of John G. Paton, a lot of interesting stories in this, divine intervention, some miraculous things. And so there you have it, 5 missionary biographies for your consideration. Friends, we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining us today.